Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
What would you say you do here?
God damn it. Bob, we love playing here tonight. My brother's ready.
It helps if you think of it as a game, Bob. Every game has a winner and a loser.
You must possess strength to inflict pain, Bob.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Two Bobs Cast. This is episode 67, and as always, we are a rockin' metal podcast that goes A to Z, picking bands, breaking them down, ranking the albums, all that fun stuff. It's good to be back after a couple weeks off. I'm here once again with my partner, Mr. H. How's it been going, Mr. H?
I wish I could say it's been great, but it
Yeah.
kind of wasn't there for a while. So, but due to family stuff and being busy, we're kind of gone for a few weeks. So it's good to be back and back in the swing of things here.
Yes, sir. So
But-
you took a trip to the Carolinas, right?
Yeah.
For family stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
How was
So
the weather down there? At least did you
5
have that?
days. Yeah, it was nice. It was. I washed the car the one day. It was like 78 degrees or something. So, yeah, it was pretty nice. Although it was nice here, that 4 or 5 days it was nice here. It was in the 60s, and then we came back home on Saturday, and the whole way home, like through West Virginia, on all the signs that said, snow coming tonight, use caution, blah blah blah. And I guess they got hammered on Sunday. So it was good that we came back the day that we did.
Yeah.
And I think we had 6 inches of snow by Monday morning. So from Sunday till Monday morning here. So yeah, it was nice. It was also nice here though. But yeah, then we came back to snow. I'm like, fantastic. So, but at this time of the year, snow's not too bad because it kind of hampers you for a day. But within the next few days, it's generally, because it's March, it's like 50 and it just melts. You don't really have to do much with it. As long as you get through it for a couple of days, you're fine, pretty much. So your dogs don't like it, but
Yeah. Well, the last storm we had sucked though because it got so cold after.
yeah, that was bad.
And it was
That's
just
more like
chunks.
January. It's when it's
that's true,
colder,
that's
colder.
true.
Like this time of year, it snows. You get a few inches of snow, and then then 3-4 days it's all melted. So
Look at us, couple of old guys talking about the weather.
I
How about
know,
that?
right? I got the Weather Channel on right here. No, not yet. Not yet.
Yeah,
Kelly's
we're a
mom and
record-
dad, they have the Weather Channel on all the time. It's funny.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Like,
Yeah.
not into that kind of entertainment yet.
Yep. Well, we
I'm
made
more
it to
into
March.
down type entertainment. Rock and
Yes.
roll.
Yeah. Well, before we get into our band today, we were just talking about it a little bit, but maybe we want to talk a little bit about our. We went to a show last week at Rocket Arena. We saw. It was 3, not to be confused, because these
Not
3 bands might
3.
throw us off. 3 Days Grace.
Not 3 inches of blood.
No.
Not 3 days. Not 3 doors down.
No.
So we're kind of there together, but separately. So,
Yep. It was. Well, they cut off all the upper deck, so it was all just kind of a 2-deck show. Basically, the club levels, the lower level, and then I got lucky. I was supposed to be in the club level, and then a friend of ours that we were going with, she gets those first responder tickets. So sometimes she'll go on and look, before a show, and be like, "Oh, they're super cheap." And we
we
actually
went to Ghost.
Yep.
The
I was
second
just gonna
night,
say.
basically for free. So,
Yeah, it was $17 they offered for 4 tickets. That's not 17 total.
that's crazy.
And then the same thing happened before this. So the night
This was an
before,
upgrade.
yeah. Well, again, she was because her son wanted to go, and we only had 4 tickets, and he had a couple buddies he was going to go with. So she's like, you know what, screw it, I'll risk it. Because when you put in, you don't know what seat you're going to get. You just say, I'll take 4, and then they'll send you what they have. And usually, like you said, for $3.50 a piece, $4 a piece, like you don't care where you're sitting. Like I'm going.
And luckily for that show, it didn't matter because it was all lower bowl, so you really couldn't have gone wrong with those. So.
Well, when you told me they upgraded you from the 200s down to the 100s because they were cutting, that's when I texted her. I'm like, just roll the dice with it. Like if I got to cover, the $10 to do the half of it, and then she's like, all right, and then she ended up like, yeah, we're on the floor. I was like, all right. And again, I'm not a big floor person, but it was seats, so it wasn't like GA pit. It was behind that, which it could be annoying, but we did stand for 3 doors, not 3 doors down, 3 doors grace. I knew it was going to happen.
3 inches of blood. You stood for 3 inches of blood in the pit,
right? But I stood for that. I mean, it was an hour and 45 minutes, whatever they played for.
Yeah,
so
it was a long time.
It was a fantastic show. Again, I was kind of joking with my family, like, how many songs did they start? You're like, oh yeah, that one. Oh yeah, that one. It's just song after song. Like, that one. It's been on the radio.
23 songs, I think.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. And there's almost no way, if you've listened to rock radio over the last 20 years, that you couldn't have known all of those songs. It's crazy. They're one of those bands where you're like, how do I know all these songs? It's insane. They have a knack for writing stuff that's different than what they've already done, but kind of in their same pocket. And they know what works for them really well. And they just keep writing these great songs. Like it's fantastic, man. But they've never sounded better, man.
Yeah.
It was they have 2 singers now. They brought, Adam back and kept Matt, the guy that took over for him. And now they have 2, and it's great. Like they're doing stuff from both singers' albums, and they both play rhythm guitar also. So sometimes there's a couple guitars up there, sometimes 3 guitars up there. I mean, it's just so good. It sounds so good. It's like it's even better than it was before somehow. They got extra singers, and they can all it's crazy. It's so good.
They're just so sing-songy, so catchy. Like every song has this addictive chorus, and everybody's singing to it. And
even if you don't know the words, you kind of can't help but hum along because you've heard the song before, and it just kind of sticks in there. Like you don't even.
It's simple
to know the
too.
Words. Yeah.
Like my son, I knew there was a few songs that he'd probably heard before, but he didn't know the words. But by the second chorus, he's singing. Like I hear him singing to it. Like it's not complicated stuff.
No, it's not.
It's pretty simple rock and roll, and they've nailed it, and they're hit machines. Every song is just a hit that they do. So
and it's just heavy enough, kind of for the metal guys, and it's just kind of accessible enough to be on the rock radio.
Yeah,
and it's just that good sweet spot. Just like the band we're gonna do tonight. It's kind of. In some cases, I mean, I think 3 Days Grace is a little bit heavier, a little bit more edgy, but 3 Doors Down has, quite a few of those too. That it's just kind of heavy enough to get your attention if you like heavier stuff, and it's, it's hooky, and it's, really, really, really gets you. Good stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
Great show.
Well, we will get into our band for the night. And again, we kind of touched on this last episode, but
we did.
Obviously, we lost one of our rock and roll frontmen, and we just happened to be at the letter T. So it made too much sense that we would give these albums a listen and rate them while also giving a tribute to the great Brad Arnold. And again, maybe not a guy that you would necessarily put up there, as like a household name, but when you hear his voice, who he is. Everybody has heard the songs on the radio.
Yes.
Just a fantastic singer, a fantastic human being, but by all indications.
Yes. Everybody, you cannot find anybody that has a bad word to say about that man.
Yeah.
Nothing. And everybody was crushed. I mean, people from Seven Dust, 3 Days Grace, which you just mentioned, stuff that people just pouring out, telling stories about how this guy helped them along the way in their career. This guy, where, a lot of these bands have gone out and done way bigger things in some cases than Three Doors Down, but they're thanking him for helping them get started and helping them to do things the right way. You know, it's really sad. I mean, what, 46 years old, I think?
Yeah.
48?
Well, you know,
man.
once cancer gets so bad and spreads, it's undefeated. Like it just, I mean, you could fight it, and a lot of people, you know, persevere through it. You know, if they catch it early enough, or, I mean, obviously modern medicine and such really helps with that, you know, with these new cancer drugs and stuff. But obviously he was blindsided, and by the time he knew, he was already, I think, basically stage 4, you know.
Yeah, and I think it was really aggressive too. Like, it wouldn't have mattered, I don't think, if they caught it even like, you know, a month earlier. Like, it was sudden and it was aggressive and it had spread so fast. Like, it wouldn't, I'm not sure they would have been able to do much for him anyway, but I don't know. Just really sad.
Yep.
But yeah, we're here to pay tribute to them, so, and to him.
Yep. He's over my shoulder, hanging out with us this podcast. So
yes, he is.
So absolutely,
singing to the back of your head.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. All right, partner. Let's get rolling. What do you got from Three Doors Down?
Three Doors Down. All right. Founded in 1996, so 30 years ago in Escatawpa, Mississippi. You don't hear that very often.
Nope.
A band's founded in Escatawpa, Mississippi by Brad Arnold, who we just mentioned, vocalist and drummer at the time, Matt Roberts on guitar, and Todd Harrell on bass. The band's name came from a strip they went on a trip, the three of them, to Alabama, and they saw an old building with a partial sign that just said, it just read "Doors Down." Like, part of the sign was gone. They don't know what the rest of it said, but they added 3 to it since there was the 3 of them, and they were walking by, and they're like, oh, you know, it's kind of like what we all do at some point. If you're really into music, you're like, that would be a really cool band name, you know? So they were all into music a little bit at the time, and they were like, hey, you know, maybe Three Doors Down would be a cool name. So, but Brad Arnold was convinced to sing by Todd Harrell's girlfriend, because neither Todd Harrell nor Matt Roberts could sing much at all. So she's like, you're going to have to sing, dude, because he's the only one that had any kind of vocal ability. So they recorded a self-titled demo tape in 1997 with a track list that's similar to the first album. They sold 1,000 copies of it over the course of 2 years, during which time a radio station in the area got a hold of it, WCPR FM, which I thought was weird. Radio station WCPR, man, like for responders, you know. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I can't imagine what kind of logo they had, but just like a big cross or something. I don't know. It'd be pretty funny. They got a hold of one of the copies, and they began playing the song Kryptonite, which Brad wrote in math class in, I think, 8th grade. So he was like 15 years old, where he kind of just, this song popped in his head at 15 years old. So that was one that he had for a while, but they started playing that, and of course it got really popular. So they ran out of their 1,000 copies. They ordered another 1,000 copies, and those were gone in 10 days. So the first 1,000 took 2 years. But then once that song hit, they took like 10 days. And then in 1998, the band was joined on guitar by a friend of Todd Harrell, the bass player named Chris Henderson, on guitar. And in 1999, they got signed to Universal as that song started getting bigger and bigger, and they began writing the rest of and recording their first album. So the first album, The Better Life, came out February 8th, 2000. There's 11 songs on this album. It was produced by Paul Ebersold. Brad Arnold wrote all the lyrics, and the music was mostly written by the entire band. I'm guessing more so with the 2 guys, you know, more so than Henderson, but I think he does have some songwriting credits on here too.
He does.
But they all wrote songs together kind of from here on out. So he was involved with the songwriting pretty much from the beginning too. So this was the only album also that Brad Arnold played drums on. Eventually, when they went to tour, they got themselves a drummer and became a 5-piece at that point. But he played drums on this album. Again, he wrote Kryptonite at age 15, which is crazy, and it's the first song I heard by them, and I was hooked as soon as I heard it. Like, what a fantastic song! Over 1.2 billion plays on Spotify for that song. Like, it's one of the enduring songs from like the early 2000s, late 90s time frame where everybody knows it. As soon as you hear the first three notes and you know exactly what it is. It's one of those. My favorites on this album are Kryptonite, of course. Duck and Run, I like a lot. I've always liked that song a lot. That one kind of grabbed me. And Loser was another one they came out with, but that wasn't really one of my favorite songs on here. But it's okay. I wouldn't skip it, but that wasn't one of my favorites. But that was another real popular one. I think after they released Kryptonite, Loser came out, and that was pretty big for them too. But I like Duck and Run a lot. And then Not Enough, I like a lot. And then Life of My Own. Down Poison is another really underrated song in here towards the second, towards the end of this album. I like that song a lot. And By My Side is also another great song. So there's no skippers on here for me. This is an A- level album for me. I had this at number 2 we're only going to do 6 albums because that's all they had. They do have a Christmas EP, which we're not going to do that. And then they had another, I think, maybe a live or some other short EP there in there too that we're not going to do either. But I had this at number 2. It's just a super kind of solid debut album, kind of like a raw-ish, not so polished sound, which I kind of like. But I like, I really like most of the songs on this album. So I have A- number 2. What did you think of The Better Life?
Yeah, I remember when this came out, I was pretty impressed by it. Again, at this time is when I really had started discovering metal. So this didn't really fit in that, but just another band, and like we talked about with, you mentioned, with 3 Days Grace, it's just the way it's rock music. And the way Brad sings, he's from the South, so a lot of it sounds kind of with his swing on a little country-ish, but I think with the rock guitars, I think it works really well. All his lyrics are super emotional, but like super positive, which I think is super cool too. Like, yeah, I mean, especially with everything that's gone down with him, like, there's a lot of stuff here that's sad, but like when you listen to it originally, like it didn't really make you sad. It was more like, positive perseverance. Like we'll get through this, and it's just like positive messages, like
Yes.
super good stuff. So again, I remember driving around to this CD a lot when it came out. It was, I mean, how, like you said, how could you avoid Kryptonite? And I wish later on that I could avoid Kryptonite because, again, one of those songs that, it just, the radio blasted you over the head with it on every radio station and
you couldn't escape
every
it.
format.
Yeah. Every jukebox of every bar you ever went in, like it was everywhere.
Yeah. And, a little shout out to, I can't even remember his name. I don't know if you've seen it, the YouTube video guy that does, the take on the Rick Beato, what makes this song good or awesome. He does what makes this song suck. And I remember he had Kryptonite on there for one of it, and he was just like in a comedy type way, like ripping it apart, where it's just like, yes, I see all this stuff, but it's just, the song is just greatness. Like you can't, you could be sick of it and you could be like, I never want to hear it again, but like you have to give credit to the iconicness of that song. Like it's, is it really any different than like Back in Black or anything? It's just a song that everybody knows.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic song, but unfortunately the radio got a hold of it. But no, this is a fantastic album. Loser is awesome. Duck and Run, like you said, really good. Be Like That is kind of the more ballady song. It's okay. That would probably be the closest to a skipper to me, but it's still a fantastic song, so I wouldn't skip it. Life of My Own and Better Life, both are really, really good as well. It's just a solid all the way through. I like By My Side, which you mentioned, and Smack is, I think, really good as well. Fantastic album for sure. I'm right alongside you so far. So you were wondering where we would line up with this band. So far, 100% accuracy. I have this as an A- and number 2.
Wow.
Exactly like you do. So
all right. Curious to see if our number one's aligned. So
yeah.
That's what I was curious about. All right. Yeah, it is a fantastic debut album. And it was one of those ones where, like, I had to have it once I heard Kryptonite,
Yeah.
and it was one of those where I'm like, man, is this going to be like back then? You know, you were. I don't think we were even downloading anything yet. There was still no. I'm not sure Napster or really LimeWire or anything. It was kind of more a couple 3 years later, maybe.
Yeah.
But it was one of those ones where I'm like, man, if I buy this, is this really going to be any good, or am I only going to like the one song and the rest are going to suck? But man, was I surprised.
For every one of those, though, there was 5 of them that we bought for one song, and there was only one good song.
Yes,
So,
that's what I meant. Like, oh man, I don't know, $13. Yeah.
so this one was a winner. This one was like,
Yes.
okay, there's a
Yes.
bunch of other stuff on here.
Bunch of other stuff.
Win.
Some stuff even heavier, you know,
Yeah.
even better. And I'm like, even more guitar. I'm like, all right. And really, like you said, good solid songs too. So but yeah, that was a winner. But like you said, there's a lot of losers, but this was not one of those. All right, on to their second album, Away from the Sun. Not October, November 12th, 2002. So 2 years later, this was produced by Rick Parashar. It's not a guy I've heard of. Ebersol I've heard of, you know, on a few things here and there, but not so much Parashar. But this album sounds good, but I do prefer the bit more raw production of the first album. Like this one's more professionally done. It's more kind of well-rounded, but I just prefer the rawness kind of the first one. You can better distinctly hear both guitars on that album too than you can on this one. Like they just kind of blend together. They're just kind of like almost one guitar sound in a lot of ways. But this album though is kind of more of the same as the first album, but doesn't have as much rock as the first album did. There's more slower songs on this one, some of which are great. I just prefer the slightly heavier material on the first album, although this one has its moments also. This is Brad's favorite album by the band too. He said that he had, you know, emotions ready to come out and that this was more of an adult album where he felt like The Better Life was more written when he was a kid, you know, just because like Kryptonite he wrote when he was 15 and like they were all kind of kids as they were putting that material together for like their demo, which was a lot of the songs on the first album. So this was kind of more of like this was the first album he felt like they wrote as professional musicians as adults. So, and you can kind of hear that in here too. Sarah Yellen though is the name of one of the songs on here, and that is one that they kind of redid from the demo that shows up on this album. It was reworked, and it's also quite a bit heavier than the rest of this album, as I was saying too. So it kind of fits that it was one of the older songs. My favorites on this one are When I'm Gone. It's a great song. It's so much sadder now. I'm going to say this probably a few times during this podcast, like you already mentioned. Like some of these songs, they have a new meaning because they're kind of about, like you said, it's kind of a positive thing. It's not about like death and like the darkness of that. It's about like, you know, go on further after I'm gone, you know, don't stop, like live your life, you know, and we'll get through this kind of thing. Exactly like you said. So, but they just take on such more meaning now that he's gone and you hear him singing about when he's gone and it just makes you sad.
Sure.
You know? So, and then it's just, I don't know, it kind of gets to me sometimes a little bit listening to it now. But you know, it is what it is, you know. He's a great songwriter, and like you said, they do have a positive message in it, which could have been a whole lot worse if it was, you know, more of a dark kind of message.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But Here Without You, same thing. Another song about, you know, being, you know, here without somebody after they pass. You know, it's another one that's it's sad, but I like I Feel You. Changes is a song, kind of an underrated kind of song on here that wasn't released as a single, a deeper cut. That it's just a really good song. It kind of has like a dark kind of feel to it. Like it's kind of about like kind of going through changes, but kind of like a, you know, going through kind of dark times, I guess, you know. So it has a darker feel to it, which is a change from the more positive stuff that you were talking about. And I just like the whole feel of that song. Even though it's not like heavy, but it's just, it has a darker feel to it. And Sarah Yellen, I do really like what they did with that one. I don't think I ever heard the demo version, but I do like the version that's on here. It's easily the heaviest song on this album. Skipper is still none, although I don't think this one is as strong in its entirety as the debut is, but there's still nothing on here I would skip. In fact, I think out of their whole catalog here, there's only maybe 2 or 3 I think as I have as skippers, and that's not just because I don't want to be mean to Brad and now that he's gone. It's just they just write a lot of songs. It's like we mentioned with 3 Days Grace. They know what they do well, and yes, some of the ballads I feel like I've kind of heard before in some cases, but they're all kind of great songs in their own right, and they know what they do well, and they do a really good job at it. So at least I'm going to say this now, and I'll mention it again later, but at least when these guys are together, these 5 guys. So things changed quite a lot on the last album, and it's very noticeable. But on these other 5 albums, they have a knack of doing what they do best, and they kind of repeat it, but without sounding exactly the same, if that makes sense. So,
Yep.
but anyway, I have this one as a B rated album, and I have this one at number 3. And again, it's still a solid album. The songs in total just aren't as good for me as The Better Life. And A Better Life is just slightly heavier, which I prefer. So I had this as a B, number 3. What did you have for Away from the Sun?
So going into this, I had Away from the Sun easily as number 3 as well. That was before I came into this. I'm going to probably surrender to Prisoner of the Moment here, but this album, it did something to me more listening to it these last couple weeks. This one really hit home. I think you nailed it perfectly. I think the reason that Brad likes it so much, it's more of an adult album that I don't think I could have appreciated when it came out and I was 20 years old, right? I today appreciate this album a lot more, and I think it is absolutely a classic. And I absolutely think this is phenomenal. As far as a adult contemporary rock and roll album, this song it's just to me, it's hit after hit after hit. I agree with you. The production is a little different than the first one, and it's definitely not as heavy. But to me, I feel like this as a songwriter, especially like lyrical content, I feel like Brad absolutely killed this album. And again, maybe Prisoner of the Moment, but man, going through this, I was like, I was like grading the songs, like check mark, like I would, I love that. That's one of my favorites. And I'm going 1 through 7, and I'm still like, I love that song. I love that song. I love that song. I love that song. So, this ended up being my number 1. And it just, again, I would not have said that going into it. Again, I've listened to this album so many times in the past. It doesn't hit the same as it does today. So I definitely will say probably the spirit of Brad has filled me. And while listening to this, it's now my favorite. So this is number 1. When I'm Gone, like you mentioned, is great. Obviously, Here Without You. Those are the 2 off of this album that anybody in the world, if you played, they would know those songs. But
Yes,
I love Away from the Sun, and I've been seeing on this live version recently, since he's passed, and I've got a new appreciation for that song now. The Road I'm On, Ticket to Heaven. I mean, obviously, listen to the lyrics. Like, how could that not mean more to you today than it did even a year ago, right? So.
Yeah.
What do we love music for, right? It makes us feel, it makes us feel things and emotions, and just, again, take apart the sadness of losing Brad, but looking at the maturity of this album, to me, it blows away everything else in the catalog to me today. I wouldn't have said that many, many years prior to this. I have another one that I really like that I had to move to number 3. I'm wondering if that's your number 1, but
we'll find out.
I had to move it because this one it really took a hold on me the last couple weeks. So I have this as a solid A, and I have this as my number 1, Away from the Sun.
Yeah, this one for me, like it's still great. and this is the one I had the most trouble getting through emotionally.
Yes. Yes.
So this is the one that hit me the hardest. It's not my favorite stuff of theirs altogether, and it still kind of isn't, but I totally get where you're coming from. It does have a whole new meaning now, and it's this when this came out, I was 30, so this came out when I was an adult, so I've always kind of connected with it in that way, but it does have more meaning now, like you said. So this was a struggle, for me to get through at times. But yeah, it's still a really, really good album.
Yep.
On to 17 Days.
Yep.
Which came out February 8th, 2005. 12 songs. I almost lost my spot here. There's only 6 albums. Can't be that hard to keep it straight. But yeah, 17 Days, February 8th, 2005, 12 songs. This was produced by Johnny K. The next couple of these, actually, of, I always say of Disturbed fame, because that's where the people first heard of Johnny K. And then he went on to do, I don't know how many dozens of rock and metal albums after that. But so very well produced, obviously. This is the only album with Daniel Adair on drums, who left to join Nickelback after doing this album. This one, to me, kind of has a darker tone throughout it. This one, it wasn't. I don't connect with this one as emotionally as Away from the Sun, because I don't feel like the songs are as good. They don't grab me as much. But this was where the other one was emotionally taxing but still kind of uplifting. This one, it's more depressing. This album is for me, and it wasn't so much because he passed and I was connected to it in that way. It just has a dark, kind of depressing feel throughout it for me. This one, so the name 17 Days comes from only having 17 days off between the Away from the Sun tour and entering the studio. Apparently, they must have been writing on the road, because 17 days is a lot of time to come up with a lot of material.
Right.
But they had just come off of, obviously Away from the Sun was big for them with those couple songs you mentioned in particular. So it made sense to keep going, especially if they had material ready to go. You might as well just keep going, if you're able to. So they did. So 17 days in between, and off they went. This is their first album to debut at number 1 on Billboard also. The first of, I think, 3 in a row here.
Yep.
My favorites on this one, there's still some really good songs on here. It's not like I don't like it. It's just more kind of depressing and dark than before. But my favorites on here are Let Me Go. I like Somebody Else. I think Somebody Else. Maybe Be Somebody.
Be Somebody, probably.
Be Somebody, not Somebody Else. I don't know why did I write Somebody Else in here. Be Somebody, and then Landing in London. Like, geez, is that a sad song?
Oh yeah.
But I love Bob Seger's on this album, on this song, and I really like him on here. Like, it's a cool little thing that you wouldn't think a guy like Bob Seger would be on kind of a hard rock-ish type album, but he's really, really good on that song. So I did really like that one. And then Never Will I Break, which is the 8th song. I really like the riff on that one a lot, the guitar riff on that one. Again, there's no skippers. All the songs for me are at least decent, although fewer of them are memorable than on the first 2 albums by a lot. So I still have this as in a B range, but as a B minus. This is number 4. It's just, this album is slow up until kind of the end, and it's just sad, man. It's depressingly sad. So it does pick up towards the end, though, with a little less slowness on, like, Never Will I Break, Father, Son, Live for Today. There's some heavier stuff towards the end of this, but the first like half of it, it's all kind of slow and depressing. But it's just not their best material for me. So I have a B minus, number 4 for 17 Days. What did you think?
Yeah, this was a little disappointing for me. It was disappointing for me then when it came out, and it's disappointing for me now. It's just an inconsistent album. Like I don't feel like maybe there's too much on here. It is 12 songs, and I know that all their songs are usually about 3-4 minutes long, so it's not like it's ton. It's like 45 minutes long, but I don't know. It just felt like maybe they didn't have. Maybe they should have waited another 17 days, or
Good
I just
point.
feel like
Maybe it was rushed. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like that. I get that sense of it, and it's not that it's bad. It's inconsistent. It feels rushed. I mean, even before I knew what you were saying about the 17 days, it just feels like there's filler in there. Even when there might be great parts of songs, the same song might not be great, all the way through. It just, to me, it's inconsistent. I just think maybe they should have decompressed a little bit, maybe after their tour. Again, what do I know? I mean, I'm just rando dude sitting here, but just with the first two albums, how strong it was.
Yes.
Just this just let a lot to be lacking. I do like the opening track, "Right Where I Belong," a little bluesier song, pretty good, heavier track. "It's Not Me" is okay. "Let Me Go" was a big song for them, pretty good. I do love the Bob Seger song. A lot of my friends, I guess the crew that I roll with, kind of are not a big Bob Seger fans, but I grew up listening to Bob Seger a lot. My dad really liked Bob Seger. I always thought it was cool, like the saxophone stuff that he had in his stuff, and the groove. I always liked the feel of his band, so I liked that Bob Seger was on it. A crushing song, like you mentioned. Obviously, it's really really tough. The album's pretty top heavy, but it's, again, there's some good stuff in the back of it, but it's inconsistent.
Yeah.
I agree with you. There's not really anything to skip. All their stuff is pretty solid. You don't really get much skippers until like the end of the catalog for me. So again, it's okay. I have it the same place as you. I have it number 4. I was maybe a little bit tougher on it. I had it like a B minus, C plus. Its highs I push me more towards a B range, but some of the this other stuff on it is just okay. It's more in the C range, so I'll give it a B minus, number 4 for me. Again, I think if they would have taken more time here, we probably would have gotten something better. But this was kind of their off one in between their bigger stuff. So, yeah, number 4, B minus.
Well, the off stuff kind of continues for me here.
Yeah.
The next album is a self-titled, Three Doors Down. This came out May 20th, 2008. This is album number 4. There's 12 songs on here. This is produced by Johnny K again. So once again, this sounds really good. They put an acoustic EP in between here that has 5 songs on it, basically from the first couple albums. No, yeah, they look like they're mostly from 17 Days, except for Here Without You, I think. So anyway, but yeah, they put out one in between, but it's all just redone songs. This is the first album, the self-titled Three Doors Down, with Greg Upchurch on drums from Puddle of Mud. This is also their second straight album to reach number 1 on Billboard. This Citizen Soldier, which is it is the first single off of this album, was written as a tribute to the National Guard. Not my favorite song by them, though, but it's okay. I did kind of like the kind of the message and like the tribute to the troops that they did, a little bit of here. At least though, this one, to me, this album doesn't feel quite as bleak and sad as 17 Days did for me. But it is kind of pretty repetitive, although they are staying kind of true to themselves and they know what they do well. It just kind of loses a little bit of excitement for me when I almost feel like I've heard many of these songs already. This is kind of where I got to the point where I'm like, man, this sounds a lot like some other stuff that I've already heard that was better. And then this stuff just doesn't hold up to that. Like almost like it was, and we say this from time to time, but almost like this was kind of B-side material that they had kind of in the can and reworked and put on here. You know, like the stuff just isn't as good. It's a lot like Away from the Sun, just not nearly as good, if that makes sense. Like it's more cohesive, like you said. It's not as inconsistent. Sounds more like them, but just not nearly as good. And I'm like, oh man. And at this point, I was really kind of sad because I'm like, wow, I really like those. When 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when those first couple albums came out, I really liked them. And then 17 Days let me down. And then this one, I was like, I'll give him, I'll still give him a chance. And I was like, boy, this is kind of another one of those. It wasn't very good. So I was really disappointed at this point. But my favorites are "It's Not My Time." That's another big one that they had. And another one that's has a bit of a different meaning now. That it was his time. So. Let Me Be Myself, I like a lot, and Give It to Me, I like too. I do have my first skipper on here. She Don't Want the World, I didn't like very much. It's the last track on here. It's kind of a throwaway track, in my opinion. I wasn't a real big fan of that one. But this one I have down in the C range. Like, this is kind of more like what you were saying about the last album. Is a lot of that was C range stuff, but this one I feel like it's more solidly C range, where the last one, like you were right, it was inconsistent. It has some C range stuff, but the higher end stuff was better. I think the few songs that kind of pulled that out of the C range, but this one's just a straight C for me. It's an okay album, but it was the weakest one overall to this point for me in listening through in order. So I have this one as a C. And I have it as number 5 out of the 6 albums. What did you think of the self-titled album?
Yeah, what I think they should have done is they should have waited on 17 Days and combined that one and this one. I feel like there's a good album in between there.
Okay. But kind of take the best of both of them and have one album. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
I feel like they just didn't have enough material. I was pretty down on them when this came out. I kind of thought they were done.
Yeah.
Luckily, I wasn't wrong, or I was wrong in that they weren't completely done. But this one, I remember when it came out, I was kind of like, okay, I feel like they're just a single band now. Like, they're going to come out with these really catchy singles, like It's Not My Time. Song was huge for them. Even Citizen Soldier, I heard that one a lot. Again, not one of my favorites, but it's a decent song. Train, I like that one. Another bluesy opener. Like, put me on a train, mama. Like, it's okay. Like, I like when they do kind of the bluesier Southern rock type of thing. Like, I think they can do that pretty well. Let Me Be Myself is another great song, like you mentioned. The second half of the album is largely forgettable to me. That's where this one drops a little bit further, and I agree with you. This one's number 5. This is a C-ranged album. I do think where this one gets hurt is that it loses me. Like, after halfway through the album, it seems to drone on. And it was like the first time I really felt that with these guys. Not a lot of great stuff on the second half of the album. Give It to Me has a couple good moments. I like Runaway and When It's Over. Pretty decent. But again, I think the stronger tracks are up front. I really do think maybe take the first half of this album, the first half of the last album, and you might have something good. But yeah, this one to me, number 5, like I said, in a C-range album. I was pretty down on them at the time, and it sounds like you're kind of leaning where I am, where this next one was a little surprising.
Yes.
I did not. I knew when I heard it when it came out, and we're not obviously we're talking about the previous album, so we'll get into that later. But I knew it was better, but I didn't really realize till recently how much better it was. So anyway. Self-titled, 3 Doors Down. I'm right alongside you, number 5 and a C.
All right, on to much, much better things. Time of My Life. This was July 19, 2011, 12 songs. This is produced by Howard Benson, who's done lots of things really well.
3 Days Grace.
Yes, 3 Days Grace is one of those things. Yep. Man, just when I thought they were done, and like I heard one song off of this one, and I was like, wow, like this I hope the rest of the album's like this, and man, it does not disappoint me at all. This is one. Once I start listening to this album, I cannot shut it off. It starts off with greatness, great riffs, great songs, and it just keeps plowing right through. Like I kept putting favorites down one after another after another. Next thing I knew, I had 8 straight songs on my list of favorites, and I'm like, they can't all be favorites, right? But they are. I mean, this is great stuff for me. This is the best. This is the summit for them for me. Um, Heaven is probably the song that made me the saddest, I think, even though Away from the Sun kind of affected me overall as a whole the most. But this song, and I'm not sure why, actually. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's a slower song, but that one, for whatever reason, just kind of affected me more than any other song did. But and it's a song that I really like too. So, um, but this is the last album for Matt Roberts until his kind of departure in 2012. He was having some drug problems and some other problems. He passed away 4 years later in 2016. I mean, he was in his 30s. And this is also the last for the bassist Todd Harrell, who was arrested for vehicular homicide in 2013 and was kind of fired by the band at that point. So this is kind of a sad, almost an end. Yeah, they had one more album out after this, but this was kind of the end for them as the band that we knew and really, really liked in some cases, and at some points. So that kind of makes it even more sad. Brad said that they kind of really, unlike 17 Days, like you mentioned, they really had a plan for this album to try and write and record their biggest and best album, and that their experience of the first 4 albums allowed them to achieve that. Like you said, they probably rushed the third album, and they probably didn't even kind of realize they did it, but they had that as an experience to draw on. Like, let's not do that. Let's not cut songs short. Let's not just go with what we already have. Let's continue to make it better and better. So, and they really did that, and I feel like they achieved that. Like, for me, I agree. Like, everything that they've done for me kind of culminated in this album. The first 9 songs out of the 12 songs on this are A+ material for me. Like I said, I couldn't stop writing songs down that I love. Like, it's ridiculous. It opens with Time of My Life, and that's probably my favorite Three Doors Down song. I love the guitar riff in there. I mean, it's heavy. It's fantastic, fantastic stuff. When You're Young is a great kind of slowish ballad song, it's got some great guitar in it too, though. Round and Round is song 3. It's another one of my favorite Three Doors Down songs. I absolutely love that song, and it's just cool how it just makes sense. Like, round and round we go. It's so good. It's such a simple, great, great song. Again, Heaven is great and freaking sad. Race for the Sun is a great song. Back to Me is a great song. These are all in a row. Every Time You Go is a great song. What's Left. And then On the Run is the 9th song. And On the Run even has a solo in it. I mean, they don't do many guitar solos. With 2 guitar players, they don't do many guitar solos. But they do in that song. There's no skippers on here, and it's really not even close. There's nothing on here that I would skip. I don't have it as an A+ because the first 3 quarters of it are so good for me. And it's loaded with a bunch of great, memorable songs. And this is the one that sounds the best to me and has the best overall songwriting. It's close to A+ again, but it just kind of falls short at the end. Although I do like all 3 of those songs too, just not as much as the rest of the first 9. So it's the only thing that keeps it. This is really teetering on an A+ for me. I wasn't really sure which way to go, but then listening to the last 3 songs, I'm like, man, these ones just don't stick with me like the first 9 do. Like, I just kept going, man, I remember this one. It's like the 3 Days Grace, like you mentioned. Like, I haven't listened to this album in probably, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. It's been a while since I listened to anything on this album, but I'm like, I remember this song and this song and this song and this song, and I like them all. Like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, man, I forgot all these were on one album. So again, and Believer, which is the last track, has a really nice solo in it, from them, which is something that they didn't do a lot of. I wish they did more of. And that's kind of the best of the last three songs, but the last three just kind of just knock it out of A+ range for me. But this is number one for me, and it's really, like I said, a culmination of kind of everything that they did and were able to do. The things that I like the best that they did are all right here in a row on this album. I love this album. What did you think of Time of My Life?
Yeah, fantastic. I remember when it came out, I was pleasantly surprised. But it's funny because this album doesn't have any of those songs that just destroyed the radio, right?
You're right.
I think that almost helps this.
Maybe, yeah.
Because they didn't bash any of these songs over the head, but I think there are songs on this album that easily could have been some of those songs that radio got a hold of, and
I think maybe they kind of fell out of favor enough.
Probably,
with people
yeah.
that they're like they just were like, 3 Doors Down. I don't want to hear that anymore. But this is fantastic stuff.
Yeah. So I was excited more than any other album to listen to this because I remember liking it, and it's just one of those. It's not really the kind of music that I typically listen to. So I listened to it a lot when it came out in 2011. But then after that, it quickly, I was on to whatever else I was listening to at that time that was probably a little heavier. So I moved on quick from it, but I remembered that I really did like it. And I was most excited about it. But again, it happened to be when I listened to it. It didn't quite capture how I felt listening to Away from the Sun, which again surprised me. But this is a fantastic album. Absolutely agree with you. This is really good, really underrated. I mean, if you were probably to talk to a lot of 3 Doors Down, at least normies, right? I would say that's kind of me too, but somebody that's just familiar with their radio stuff that you may not know about this album. But to me, like the singles, Every Time You Go, Back to Me, Time of My Life, the title track, phenomenal. I mean, call them singles. I never heard any of those songs on the radio, so whatever.
Yeah.
But the Silence Remain, again, I know you talked about all these. Heaven, Round and Round, phenomenal. Like, these are ones that they aren't listed as singles, but they all could have been. It's all really, really good. I really enjoyed listening to this, especially after the last two being so inconsistent, at times not very great. This one was a pleasure to listen to. I listened to it a few times over the last couple weeks, and it's easily number 3 for me. Again, fantastic. It's a B+. Maybe I don't love it as much as you do. I just think those other two are ahead for me. But obviously, I think people need to listen to this one more and give it a chance. It doesn't have It's Not My Time. It doesn't have Kryptonite. It doesn't have those humongous songs. But I just think as a whole, this album really does stand up to everything else they've done. It's a little more shiny, a little bit more, maybe people would say overproduced, but I love the sound of it. I think it sounds slick. It sounds energetic. Like it sounds like they found something and, they cranked up the volume on it. It all sounds good. Catchy songs, just really more catchy songs. Really, really, really appreciate this album. And for me, for my money, it's their last album as a band. But good way to go out. And I know it's not technically the way they went out, but
yeah,
to me, it could have ended here and it probably would have been better. But
yeah,
but it's good. Great stuff. Number 3 for me and a B+.
For all intents and purposes, this was their really last album. They waited 5 years to put out another one, and honestly, as we get into this one, there's probably a reason why they continued to tour until 2025.
Yep.
Right. So this last album came out in 2016. I think they knew that they were kind of done. right? Like they continued to tour, but they never wrote any more music. They didn't release any more music after 2016. So they continued to tour for 9 years off the stuff they'd already done.
And
Bands just
only
don't do that,
and they only
So,
stopped because Brad got sick.
yes,
They had
yes.
they announced wasn't with like Creed or somebody, like they were going
They
out on a
did
co-headline.
tour with Creed, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, when
somebody
Creed
else
got back together.
Yeah, they were going to do, I think, another tour with a big name. I don't know if it was
Okay.
co-headline, but they announced a tour, and then Brad had to announce that he couldn't do it because
Yeah.
he found out how sick he was.
Right.
But again, they would not have stopped touring. Like they were full speed ahead still.
Yeah, he took time out to basically to try to live.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it didn't work out. But yeah, I think they knew, that they knew that this wasn't up to their level. Especially after Time of My Life, that they knew that Us in the Night is the album that we're talking about. Just came out March 11th, 2016. 11 songs on here, produced by Matt Wallace, who's another big name guy in the mixing / producing world of rock and metal. This has Chet Roberts on guitar, replacing Matt Roberts. I don't know if they're related. I don't think I've looked. I don't think they are, but I'm not actually sure that they're not. But Chet Roberts on guitar and Justin Biltonen on bass, replacing Roberts and Harrell. This immediately, to me, has more of a kind of just a radio-ish, pop radio feel to it. Like the keyboards in the first song. On the last album, they said also that they were, when they were writing that one, Brad said they were just a rock band and that's all they'll ever be. And that's what they tried to do, on the last album, on Time of My Life. And on this one, it seems like they're almost anything but a rock band sometimes on here. Not much of this rocks at all. I realize, though, I'm kind of splitting hairs, because I realize their whole catalog kind of lends itself to the AOR label, that people like to put on stuff. The Q104, the like we joke about, or like the kind of light rock stuff. But this just feels less edgy and more pop music than anything that they had done previous to this. And again, they have 2 new members. They wrote a lot of those songs, if not almost all of those songs, as a band. And now you've got 2 guys, not 1, but 2, that aren't writing songs with you anymore. And they have different feels and different ways of doing things and different ways of writing songs. And maybe they're just not as good as songwriters, but to lose that much, it kind of makes a lot of sense why this doesn't sound nearly as good, or the songs aren't nearly as good as a lot of the stuff before it. Again, like I said, the longest gap between albums at 5 years, and they haven't written anything since. Maybe they've written a few songs, but they haven't released anything that I know of. No EPs, no albums, maybe a song here or there that maybe I missed, but not much. This kind of has a poppier, almost, I don't want to say fake, because they did write a lot of songs that maybe were about sad things, were kind of uplifting, but this one kind of has a more kind of glass half full feel to it that almost seems forced. It almost feels forced to me, than some of the kind of more darker theme stuff that was more uplifting that they wrote before. And I feel like they kind of lose a little bit of themselves by not writing in that way. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe, but I wonder, again, this is why they just haven't written another album in 10 years, just because they know that they couldn't write songs like they wrote before. So, but still, for some reason, a lot of these songs, maybe it was off the strength of people hearing about the Time of My Life album and how good it was. I'm not sure. Or maybe it's just a reputation, but a lot of these songs still have 5 million or more listens. Like, some of them 20 million. Like, there's still a lot of people that listen to a lot of music on this album. And for me, this is just nowhere near as good as the stuff they did earlier, sadly. I wish they could have went out with more of a larger bang, kind of like, Time of My Life, like you mentioned. I wish, kind of been better if they just stopped there. But again, a lot of these songs are still really popular, and more so than I thought they would be. My favorites, there's only a couple on here that I really like, and that is Still Alive I like Pieces of Me, where Pieces of Me isn't a great song. At least it sounds more to me like Three Doors Down. Like it still has kind of the same feel to it, but that's about it. I do have some skippers though. In the Dark, it's catchy. It really is catchy, but I don't like it. And Kelly didn't like it either. We listened to it some yesterday, and she's like, "This one's a skipper for me." So, but this was one that was kind of cool. I could listen to all this stuff with her because she likes a lot of this stuff too. But even she says she said the same exact thing I did. It's catchy, but she's like, that's a skipper for me. Living in Your Hell, I didn't care for. I Don't Want to Know sounds weird and kind of unlike them. And the last song, Fell from the Moon, almost has like a Christmassy kind of sound to it. Like it should have been on a Christmas album. So it just has a Christmas feel to it for some reason. I don't know. This one, I guess I didn't want to be too harsh and have him go out with a D, but this is a C minus, 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 minus for me. So this is number 6, and it's pretty easy. It's not even the ones before that were kind of inconsistent weren't nearly to this level. Like I said, I was trying to be kind, but this is probably more like a D plus level. Really, I really didn't like much that was on this album. Yeah, Brad still sings, and it's similar, but it's a lighter, poppier version of them. But like I said, even I know that's splitting hairs a little bit. So with them, but it's just this one didn't do it for me. So C minus ish, number 6. What did you think of Us and the Night?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is their weakest album. I think it was the closest thing to a total shift in type of music. Almost borderline like happy-ish. Like it had a happier, I don't know. Like it wasn't really happy, but it felt closest thing to not making me sad, which I don't think that's what I was looking for from these guys. I feel like that's not their brand.
Maybe it just had less emotion. Like I had struggled with
Maybe.
describing that too. It's just it doesn't have an emotional connection almost at all.
Yeah,
it just kind of feels fake happy.
Yeah, so I know Brad. He just had gone sober here. I had read that he was, alcohol. He was never like into drugs or anything like that, but he was really into alcohol. He was a smoker. I know he smoked like his whole life. So yeah, that voice again. Maybe cigarettes lended to it. Like
sure.
Like drugs helped the Beatles, right? Maybe that's what we did here. So he did get sober, and I know that he's always been a big faith guy. But I know he really kind of leaned into that. So maybe he was just in a different frame of mind in this album, but it definitely shows. It's different, not what they're best at. There's a couple good songs. I like the title or the first track, The Broken. I like Still Alive. My favorite track on the album is actually the album title, Us in the Night. I think it's a pretty good song. But there's a lot of misses after that. You had mentioned the Feel from the Moon, like the piano song at the end. Like you said, it's like a festive type song. It was really strange. In the Dark, I didn't dislike it, but wasn't really my thing. Everything else is pretty forgettable. Not really a huge fan of it. But yeah, it's not terrible for me. I probably have it like a C ranged album to a C minus like you do. I didn't not enjoy listening to it. It's just probably something listening to it. I know I'll never come back to it again. But it's okay. Again, I give them credit for trying to put something else out, but I ultimately, like you, wish they would have just kind of stopped with the last one. It's my 6 as well. No surprise there. Just, it's the most different. It's kind of off brand for them. I get it. Again, a bunch of different guys. It's only the 2 guys left from the beginning. So only those 2 guys were on all 6 albums.
Yeah.
Everything else, it just, to me, I don't know that I think it sounded fake, but it was definitely not like them. It was definitely not them. It didn't feel like them. It just sounded a little poppy, I think, like you said.
I feel bad calling it like fake happy because I know that he found more faith. He always kind of had faith, but he found a little more of that. And like you said, he got himself straight. And so I don't want to call it fake happy, but it feels like it is. You know what I mean? Like, I know he's not being fake in the songs he's writing and the lyrics he's writing, but it feels like, it's forced. It's just, I don't
I
know.
totally get what you're
I
saying.
hate calling it fake because I don't ever think anything that Brad wrote was fake. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it feels fake.
Yeah.
So
it just doesn't feel the same as every other thing that they've done. It just sounds like, I don't know, just that thing that it's just the one of these things is not like the other type thing. So
I just feel bad, and I wanted to take that back because I don't mean it in that he was, I'm gonna force this album to be as happy as possible, because I know he really believed what he was writing. It just feels forced. I guess forced is a better F word than fake in this case.
Forced for sure.
And there's no emotional connection really on this album, and there is on at least some of everything else, their other albums except for this one. So
I mean,
easily the bottom. And again, it's not terrible. I listen to the whole thing. I mean, those are songs that I would skip if I was listening to this a lot. Those are songs I just didn't care for, but I didn't skip any of them when we listened to it. It just was.
Well, I think, like we always say, like, if you pick an arbitrary number and say, I'm going to pick the best 25 Three Doors Down songs, like, right, like none of them, you probably get at least one other song from every other album. Maybe one, zero off of here. And I think that just kind of tells you it's just so different than everything else. So
perfect way to put it. If like, this doesn't represent them as a band, I wouldn't say listen to this song, this is Three Doors Down. None of those songs on this album I would say listen to that, that's Three Doors Down. But like you said, I think every other album has at least two of those, probably, but not this one has none. So, all right, my overall, going from 6, Us in the Night, it was the easiest one. 5 for me is the self-titled Three Doors Down. 4 was the aptly stated, as you stated, inconsistent 17 Days. Number 3, Away from the Sun. And these three are all really good albums. Like, there's a clear delineation between the top 3 and bottom 3 here for me. Top 3, then 2, and then 1, but still the top 3 are far and away better than the other 3. Away from the Sun, number 3, the first album, The Better Life, number 2, and Time of My Life, I absolutely love at number 1. How about you?
Yeah, so we were right on. We just flip-flopped 1 and 3.
That's
Other than that, we're right on. So number 6, Us in the Night. Number 5, self-titled, Three Doors Down. Number 4, 17 Days. Number 3, Time of My Life. Number 2, Better Life. And number 1, Away from the Sun. Again, we're right on each other. Just, 1 and 3 flip-flopped. But again, we both agree those top 3 are in a tier of their own on an island. Those were their 3 best albums, and we at least agree there. So fantastic.
For sure. All right. That wraps up Three Doors Down. Rest in peace, Brad Arnold. Sad, and actually Matt Roberts also, I don't know if Harold is in prison or what he's doing, if he's in some other band somewhere at this point, from his vehicular homicide. I don't know if he was found guilty and sentenced for that, or that didn't sound good. I don't know the details, and it's not really worth mentioning here anyway. But it's kind of sad that they fell apart all kind of at once there, and then now Brad's not with us anymore. So
just talk about a band in turmoil, especially like the type of music it is. Like, that's not the tragedy that you think. Again, with the vehicle incident and Matt Roberts, with drugs. Like, obviously the guy had a problem, and it's really sad, and it sucks that he was not able to get it under control before it killed him. But Brad, I mean, again, it sucks because he didn't make bad choices, right? I mean, obviously he would say that he was an addict. It was alcohol addiction, right? He would say that, but he got out of it positively and was probably in the best place of his life, spiritually.
Yeah, and years
physically.
Earlier too. It's not like he got clean,
no,
stopped drinking like a year, before he died. Like, we're talking 10 years. Like,
yeah.
he'd been doing well for quite a long time there. So like a quarter of his life, even.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, and I didn't get to see them a whole lot. I remember a couple festivals I seen them on, and just solid live band. Again, I can understand that maybe people wouldn't necessarily go to see them. Maybe kind of boring live. I don't know that they would do anything special, but when I saw them, they sounded good. I mean, they always sounded really, really good. And Brad sounded just like he sounded on the albums live. He was a phenomenal singer, and again, these hits that these guys had come out with, and just you're never going to see anything like that. Like especially these days, right? Like what rock is there? It's all the rock that we have now is more Imagine Dragony ish, those type of things where it's
sad.
Is it really rock and roll? Like it's very
it's so produced.
It is, yeah. It's maybe at one point Imagine Dragons was a little bit better. They're very, very produced now for sure.
Right.
But yeah, just a straight up rock band that just almost like we talk about all the time. Bands sit there with a guitar and they write songs, or with a piano and write songs, and you could tell these guys just sat and wrote hits, rock and roll hits.
Right.
Bash them all you want for putting Kryptonite and Here Without You 5 billion
easy
times.
To bash them. Hard to write those great songs, though. It's not like they just, those songs fell out of the sky and John Mellencamp wrote them for them and they just played them. They wrote them.
Yes.
It's not easy to do. So it's easy to bash them and say, those guys suck because you're sick of hearing the songs. Well, it's not an easy thing that they pulled off there. It's not so easy to just write these great songs, so they don't fall out of the sky. Yep. And like you said, and I want to say before we end this, is that I didn't go see them for just them a lot. I've seen them many, many times. I've probably seen them at least 10 times, but probably 9 of those times, if I saw them 10 times, was because they were opening for somebody else. And maybe the other time was because somebody was opening for them that I really liked. Like one of them, for example, was seeing them with Creed and Seven Dust in Toledo. Like we drove out there to see Creed and especially Seven Dust. Me and my buddies were all in it. We loved Seven Dust. So that was when Home came out, their Seven Dust second album, and Creed happened to be headlining. We all kind of like Creed too. They were cool to see. Three Doors Down open. But every time I saw them, I was never bored. I was never disappointed. I never left that show going, man, the rest of the bands were great, but Three Doors Down sucked. Never did I think that. Like, they always put on a great show. I always liked their set list. I liked so many of their songs. It was always enjoyable, even when they were I was always happy that they were on the bill. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Three Doors Down's on this one too. Great. And I never had a bad time seeing them live. So, and that's one of the best things I can say about them. There's been so many bands. I mean, I've seen so many concerts, and there's so many bands that I had to endure. I had to last through their set where I was like, oh man, how many more do they got? Let me look at the set list. Like, what time is it? Like, maybe I should go look at shirts or go to the bathroom or get a beer. Like, I didn't feel like doing any of that when Three Doors Down was. I was entertained the entire time they played, every time I saw them, every single time. So that says a lot about a band for me. So always enjoyed seeing them, and it sucks that they aren't going to be there to be the extra band on the bill that I really like anymore. And that sucks. So anyway, that's about all I got, man.
Yep. Rest in peace, Brad. Absolutely. Got a legacy for sure. Everybody will hear his songs long after now that he's gone. So rest in peace,
songs aren't
Brad.
going anywhere.
So
not for a long time.
So not to be confusing, but to turn the page, next week we're going to do the other 3 band because we just saw them live. We
3 Inches of Blood.
Yeah. 3 Feet of Snow.
3 Feet of Snow.
Yeah. So we're going to do 3 Days Grace next week.
Yes. We just saw them. Makes sense. We're in the tees. We're going to do them anyway. It just kind of fits to do them right now. So that's what we're going to do. We would do Testament, but we've already done them. Maybe we should do them again, though.
Yeah, we got a new album.
Yeah, and we both really, really like it. Most everybody does. So, but we figure we'll do 3 Days Grace. So, Next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Two Bobs Cast, and we will see you in the next one.
Yes, sir. Rock on.
Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
What would you say you do here?
God damn it. Bob, we love playing here tonight. My brother's ready.
It helps if you think of it as a game, Bob. Every game has a winner and a loser.
You must possess strength to inflict pain, Bob.